them, and the people were cheering and laughing and having fun, good sport, and rape their women, take away their property, and mutilate them, and then kill them. So if that's correct, that this happens to the people who follow the prophets, then it's actually an honor to be patient. Well, these disbelievers do that to a group of people. Wouldn't that make sense? Well, so let's look around the world today and see, is any of that going on? Is there any place in the last 10 years where some people were following their religion and suddenly people around them started to turn against them and slaughter them and kill them, chop off their heads, kill their babies, move in on them, encroach on their land, steal their property, take their goodies away from them, and then on top of that, lie about them? Did you ever hear of such a case? Oh, you're going to give me the list. Okay, let's see. Well, all right. Yeah, you got a point there. We got Bosnia, we got Kosovo, we got Chechnya, we got Kashmir, we've got, how am I doing? Don't forget the big one, Philistine. Philistine. I want to say Philistine. I'm going to tell you why I want to say Philistine. That's Arabic, isn't it? Is it Philistine? Yeah. What is it called in the Bible? What are the people called in the Bible who were from there? Philistines. Yeah, Philistine. It's still said Philistine in the Bible today. So I'll use the Arabic word. Why do I need to Anglicanize it or Latinize it and call it Philistine? It's Philistine. Always was, always will be, I guess, huh? So, because they're saying these people have no right on the property. That's basically what they're saying. Is that true? Well, that's interesting when you consider that their book, which it's mentioned where? It's in the book mentioning in the Old Testament, talking about the story of David and Solomon. And who they fought against was the people who lived there. Who are the people that lived there? Because remember, the Jews were transients. They're moving around, right? So the people that lived in that land were called what? Philistines. Okay? So I guess you kind of established the fact they've been there longer than anybody. Oops. Oops. The fact that those people chose to become Muslim and follow the religion of Moses, the religion of Abraham, the religion of Jesus, and the religion of Muhammad these days, for some reason those people who used to follow the religion of Moses and now suddenly going back and claiming this is their land. That's kind of interesting too, isn't it? I'm trying to make a distinction between history and his story. Because if you know real history, you can realize it when somebody begins to try to tell you his story. And there is a definite difference. I'm going to ask you a question. Now, we got some youth with us today. And for those of you, how many of you going to school? Raise your hand. How many of you going to school? Including university. Okay. Okay. Now, my question to you is, who discovered America? Hello? Say it real loud. Huh? Columbus. He discovered America. Is that true? What year did Columbus discover America? 1492. Hey, you guys are pretty sharp. 1492, Columbus sailed the ocean blue. That's the way the poem begins. But if you can read the whole poem, and you'll find he never did wind up in Washington, D.C., by the way. He never made it to New York or Hollywood. And the reason is because he never even put his fat little feet on any of the soil that's connected with what we call the United States today. He landed in the what? He landed in the islands down where Trinidad, Tobago, the Bahamas. And because he landed in October of 1492, I can understand why he'd rather go down there. His travel agent probably got him a good deal at the Holiday Inn. Much better weather, huh? He didn't even know he was there, did he? He thought he was where? India, yeah, because he was trying to go to Hind. He wanted to get to Hind for to open a spice trade going the other way. So he didn't even know where he was. That's amazing. Why would a person take off and go like he did? Well, the story that I heard was that he was a very brilliant person, and that he was watching the sea one day, and he noticed that the ships, when they sailed away, they get smaller, but he noticed that he could still see the tops of the ships, the masts. And he wondered, why could you still see the masts, and how, if it got smaller, that the whole thing didn't just get smaller until you couldn't see it anymore. And then he theorized off of that, oh, because they're going around the world and the world is round. Well, that's pretty good, and I'm sure that that's a nice story. The problem with that is that people have been watching that happen for centuries, and nobody ever thought of that before. Why didn't you just think that they just disappeared and fell off the edge of the earth like everybody else? Because that's what they used to say. The earth was flat, and they fell off the earth. Or maybe it could have been a low place in the water, you know, kind of like a dip. Think about it. And then think about this. The people with him on the ships were who? How many of you know the real story of this? Okay, who were the people? No. No. Yes, yes, they were prisoners. They were prisoners. Way to go. All right, pay attention to this man. He knows what he's talking about. This is what our history books tell us. These were prisoners. They jerked them out of prisons, and the reason excuse they give is what? Well, if they're prisoners anyway, we'll let you go free, providing you'll go with him out to sea. And if you die, we don't care if we lose you, but if you make it, then you'll be free. That's what the history books told me in 1950s when I was still going to school reading about those kind of things. Okay? That's what it said. Got it? I got a question for you. Would you personally, right now, like to go to some unclaimed place in space? NASA is going to give you the 3 rocket ships, okay? And you're going to go, and they're going to go to the prisons, and they're going to open them up and grab 3 shiploads of nothing but criminals, and they're going to go with you. And these guys are hijackers and terrorists and everything, and you're going to take these guys with you, and you're going to go to some unclaimed place. Are you ready? I don't think so. Now you're going to face a dilemma. If you follow this train of thought, you're going to face a dilemma. A problem's going to come up in your mind. You're going to have to ask yourself, because history says that they came to these places in what's now the Bahamas and the islands down there. What's the rest of that called? The Caribbean. Yeah. I was just down there, by the way. I couldn't remember the name of it. I was in Curacao. Very nice, by the way. But you know what? How could it be that 3 shiploads of criminals, pirates and thugs and terrorists or whatever they were, murderers, why didn't they just like pop this Captain Hook or whatever his name is, Christopher Columbus? Why didn't they just knock him off the ship, take over, and go back to being criminals? They got 3 ships and everything they need, right? Well, they gave their word, right? Well, you know, criminals, they give you their word. Yeah, right. So what is it about these people? And by the way, all of them went. None of them reneged. None of them turned back. None of them became, what do you call it when you go against the captain of the ship? Mutiny. They didn't do any of that mutiny stuff. I'm glad I'm here where people know English, by the way. It helps me a lot. My master's in English, by the way. You wouldn't believe that, would you? Anyhow, what I'm saying, if you think about it, how we got 3 shiploads of criminals, they're willing to go out here, they're not afraid, they don't mutiny, they stick it out, they go through storms and everything, and when they land, now here's another thing, they land in a tropical paradise. If you've never been there, you should go. It is breathtaking to visit this area of the Caribbean and see these islands, and there's so many of them. Many of them still don't have any buildings or anything on them. Some of them are still laying there ready for somebody to go live on these islands. They're beautiful. So why would they want to come back? It's a good question, isn't it? But it's mentioned in the diary of Columbus that they found people there. There were people living there already. So why not just like hang out with these guys? Why do I need to go back where they met, throw me in prison again?